Hello, Hofstra fans. Welcome to the W. Mason Coach Report with head men's basketball coach Joe Mihalich. Coach, welcome.
Glad to be here, Steven. Thanks for having me.
Coach, 2 games into the 2018-2019 season, team is 1-1. We'll take it game by game. You opened your season last Friday at home against Mount St. Mary's. A 79-61 win doesn't really capture what happened in that game, does it?
I don't think it does. No. The final score doesn't tell the story.
You won a game by 18 that you trailed by 15. Your overall assessment of the game.
Well, overall assessment of the game was I thought we showed some good poise, some composure, because what we haven't spoken about yet is how we started out and down 16-1, 12-0, and I don't know that we ever really panicked, which is a good sign. We were just so uptight, so excited, so anxious. I mean, the new scoreboards and the sellout crowd and the fans. I mean, we were just too excited. And when you get that emotional, sometimes it's hard to play. So we dug ourselves a hole, and yet, as I said, had the composure and the poise to, keep our confidence and keep our wits and go ahead and basically we outscored them by 30 points over the last 30 minutes. So
right.
It's a good win.
Yeah, you said that. So they had a game under their belt. Do you think that played a role where you were first game of the year and, like you said, the new and improved Max Sports Complex for your guys?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, they as you said, they had that game. They got the jitters out. The first game's always, we've had some great first games, and we had some anxious moments with first games. So, great win for us.
And you had a nice balance scoring in that game. Justin Wright Foreman with 20, Eli Pemberton 18, DeJour Bowie 18. What'd you like from your team offensively in that contest?
Yeah, you just mentioned it, the balance, when you can get 3 guys getting that many points. And I thought that, Danny Dwyer and Jaquil combined to give us some good, I want to say 9 points and 16 rebounds or something like that, right? So, those guys, and then, the rest of the crew, Stafford Trueheart had a couple of good moments, and it was now that it's over, it was a good first game.
And you talked about the poise from being down 15 points early, 8 minutes in the game. It really isn't that early anymore, but your team really responded, and like you just said also, you outscored by 30 points over the final 30 minutes. Your guys were able to just move past the beginning and really finish that contest.
Yeah, we did a good job. The kids, like I said, the kids were good. We all wanted to do that at the beginning. We all wanted the first 30 minutes to be the ones where we outscored them by 30, and then whatever happens the last 10. But you got to give Mount St. Mary's some credit now. They played well. They made shots. They came to play. They were tough and worked hard, and they came to play, which is what you're supposed to do.
Solid start to the season, but you really short turnaround. Friday night game that ended probably right around 10 o'clock. Saturday morning, you're on a bus to the airport, 2 flights to get to Huntington, West Virginia. Coach, that was a tough road trip. That was like NBA-like travel.
Without the charter.
Without
the NBA wouldn't have been a bad trip. It would have been an easy one.
So you head to one of the top mid-majors in the country, arguably maybe the best team on the schedule this season in Marshall. What were your thoughts going into the game? We'll get to the game in a second. On such a short turnaround, what were you trying to get into your team there?
Yeah, we knew it would be a tough challenge. I mean, as you said, we left our campus at noon, go to LaGuardia, which is an experience these days with all that construction down there. Fly to Charlotte, layover, Charlotte to Charleston, West Virginia, and then an hour and 15-minute bus ride to Huntington. So it's planes, trains, and automobiles.
Not the easiest place to get to.
Not the easiest place to get to, and then the worst part of it is tough place to play. But yeah, it was a tough trip.
So you wake up Sunday, you have a 2:30 game against Marshall. Really, there was a lot of energy about the game, I felt, and it was a chance for not only your team to shine against a real challenging opponent, but there was a one-on-one kind of there. 2 of the best mid-major players in the country, Justin Wright Foreman and John Elmore. You end up dropping a 76-72 highly entertaining contest. Just your thoughts on the game and what you thought from your team.
Well, it was I think you'd agree. It was like a tournament atmosphere there. The game itself was a knockdown, drag-out game. 2 really good teams going at it toe to toe. I mean, as you said, they're one of the, if not the best, one of the best teams on our schedule. Really got some great offensive firepower, and the atmosphere was electric. I mean, there was 8,000 people there. Everybody had a green shirt on. They don't lose there. I think they were 13-2 there last year. They don't lose much there. And we just came out. I'm really proud of our team. We played with grit. We played with toughness. We had great courage about us. We embraced the situation as opposed to be intimidated by the situation. And we even had a chance to. We had a great start. Jumped them early. had the 3-point lead at halftime, which probably should have been 6 or 8, but had the 3-point lead at halftime, and we had a chance to crumble. We had a chance to pack it in. They went on like maybe a 12-0 run or something like that. We got down 9, and the crowd was going crazy, and we had a chance to pack it in and crumble, but we didn't. We fought back. Next thing you know, we were up 3. So.
You talked about in the first game, the Mount St. Mary's coming back from that early deficit. There was a lot of poise from your team in that Marshall game, coming back from that second half deficit late, where, like you said, looked like your team could crumble. The crowd was going crazy. You really had 2 outstanding performances again. Justin Wright Foreman and Eli Pemberton. Eli, maybe one of the best games of his career. Thoughts?
Yeah, he just left the office a couple minutes before he walked in, and we were talking about that. And I even asked him, I said, "What do you think? Is that the best game you ever played?" And he was thinking for a moment. He said, "You know, it might have been. I think it was because he had 12 rebounds. What was it? 19 points? Yeah, 19 and 12. I mean, he was. What I loved about him, he just had one of those moments where he said, "You know what? The heck with it. I'm just gonna just start playing." And he has a tendency to think a little bit too much. I think he put that aside and just went after, like, he not only had 12 rebounds, but 12 tough rebounds. So he had a good night, and I think he should feel good about himself.
And then we talk about a lot, Justin Wright Foreman, a virtuoso performance in that first half, 25 points. There was a 7-minute stretch where he scored 16 points. Just, have you seen him be that good for that compact of a period of time in his career?
No, I haven't. I think you'd agree. You haven't either. I mean, listen, he's a gifted scorer. You just have to be careful to not just lean on him too much, and to not just find yourself watching him. I think sometimes we all, coaches and players, find ourselves kind of watching him.
You want to like shrug your shoulders at times.
I wish we could take some credit for some of the things he does, but we can't. He's gifted. He does things that you can't teach him to do. He does things that very few people can do.
And then we talked about earlier in the show, the Wright Foreman versus Elmore situation, 2 of the best players in the nation, long double-digit scoring. Did you think that played a role for both of them having really outstanding games? Elmore scored 30 while Justin had 34.
Well, yeah, and they know each other a little bit because they both went to that CP3, the Chris Paul camp that they were invited to this past summer. So they know each other a little bit, and it wasn't nice. It was two really good teams going at each other, and a lot of good players out there. But those 2, there was a little bit of a sideshow there with those 2 guys, and it's funny. I walked past their coach at halftime, going back to our bench, and I said something about their guy, and he said, "Yeah, your guy might even be better." So, 2 good players, but again, more than that, 2 really good teams.
Yeah, absolutely. So, got 2 games on the schedule this week. Home game against North Carolina A&T. What do you know about the Aggies?
I can't lie and say that I know a lot right now. I mean, we just we get in late last night. We just broke down the Marshall tape. We have a lot of learning to do from that tape with our guys. We're gonna have a film session, and we'll spend most of the night tonight worrying about North Carolina A&T, and then we'll spend all day tomorrow on them. I do know this: they played very well at Wake Forest. I mean, I think it was a 10 or 12 point game, and they'll be excited about coming here. Some local flavor. Their coaches from the area. They have 2 players on their roster from the area, so there'll be some added incentive for them.
And then Friday, you're back on the road. The 4 games in 8-day stretch finally comes to an end with a big one. You head to Maryland on Friday night. Your thoughts with another real marquee game on the schedule coming up for your team?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to be good, you got to play against the best, and playing teams like Marshall and Maryland, and down the road we've got VCU and a bunch of other really good ones on our schedule. Ryder and Stony Brook's playing great this year so far, so a lot of really good ones on the schedule. I can't lie to you. I haven't thought enough about North Carolina A&T yet to think much about Maryland, but it'll be a great challenge. It'll be a great atmosphere, and it'll be one of those games that our guys are excited to play in.
Well, Coach, we thank you for your time. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks for having me again, and thanks to all the Hofstra Nation out there, and let's go Pride.
Oh, one final question. Friday's atmosphere. You have any thoughts on that? What the home opener?
That was just awesome. It was one of the best nights in my short time here. One of the best nights ever. Great credit to people like yourself behind the scenes making it such a special night. Chrissy Arnaud and Mike Neely, and what Ryan Watson and his crew did to get this building ready with right at the end there, as you and I both know, right to the bitter end, like the 11th hour, they were still putting the scoreboards up. But it was an incredible night, and glad to share it with all of Hofstra. It's you play for the name on the front, not the name on the back, and for the whole community to have such a great night was a wonderful thing.
And fans, again, Wednesday, Hofstra hosts North Carolina A&T. Get your tickets now, 516-HOFTIXX. Thank you, Coach. We'll talk to you again next week on the W. Mason Coach Report with head men's basketball coach, Joe Mihalich.